What year is it really? The Bible versus modern science. Have you ever wondered about the true age of the world? Is it millions, perhaps billions, of years old as science claims? Or is there a hidden truth buried within the pages of the Bible, one that points to an entirely different timeline? Welcome to a journey that will challenge your perception of time itself. This is not just a debate about calendars. It's a confrontation between the secular and the sacred, between human reasoning and divine revelation. The Bible tells a story of creation so intricate, so profound, that it transcends human understanding. It speaks of a God who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, resting on the seventh, a timeline that has sparked centuries of reflection and fiery debate. Yet, the Jewish calendar and the Gregorian calendar present entirely different ages for our world. How can that be? Is there a key we're missing? A secret woven into Scripture that unlocks the mystery of our place in time? In this video, we unravel the enigma of biblical chronology, from the genealogies of Adam and Noah to the prophecies of the New Testament. We follow a timeline that defies modern assumptions. Along the way, we confront the shocking claim that the Jewish calendar, currently marking the year 5.785, might contain forgotten centuries, hidden years lost to history. Could these gaps explain the discrepancies between faith and science? But it doesn't end there. The Catholic understanding of creation adds another layer of depth, presenting the days of creation as both literal and symbolic, each day potentially representing a millennium or more. What if the 6 days of creation weren't just about the past, but also about a divine blueprint for the future? What if the seventh day, God's day of rest, represents eternity itself, a timeline that stretches beyond the limits of human comprehension? As we explore the biblical narrative, we'll encounter ancient empires, pivotal historical events, and figures like Abraham, Moses, David, and Jesus Christ. Each plays a critical role in constructing a spiritual and historical map that challenges the scientific view of an Earth billions of years old. So, what year are we truly living in? Is it the 5.785th year since Adam, as the Jewish calendar suggests? Or is it the 6.000th, or even the 12.000th year, according to Christian interpretations? And what about the idea of symbolic time, where a single day in God's creation could span 1,000 years or more? This is more than a historical investigation. It's a journey into the heart of faith, reason, and mystery. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the age of the earth and humanity's place in God's divine plan. Stay tuned as we unravel the most provocative and compelling mystery of our time. Are you ready to step into the unknown? Imagine a world brought into existence not over billions of years, but in just 6 days, each moment imbued with divine power and purpose. According to the Bible, God spoke, and the universe responded. Light pierced the darkness, waters separated, and life burst forth in an orchestrated masterpiece of creation. On the seventh day, God rested, declaring his work complete. Yet, this seemingly straightforward account has ignited centuries of heated debate and profound wonder. At the heart of this debate lies the concept of Anno Mundi, the year of the world, a calculation that seeks to determine the age of the earth from its inception. Catholic tradition often frames this timeline within a literal yet symbolic perspective. The genealogies found in Genesis are not merely historical records. They're keys to unraveling a cosmic timeline that defies modern assumptions. According to this view, the Earth could be as young as 6.000 years or extend to 12.000 years, depending on how we interpret the days of creation. But here's where it gets fascinating and controversial. Some theologians suggest that the 6 days of creation are not literal 24-hour days, but represent vast epochs of time. This idea stems from the biblical passage, "With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." 2 Peter 3 verse 8. Could the days of creation symbolize God's eternal blueprint, each day unfolding over millennia? If so, how does this align or clash with the scientific narrative of a universe billions of years old? The Catholic perspective often merges faith and reason, seeing no contradiction between divine revelation and the discoveries of science. Yet, The creation story continues to challenge even the most devout believers. How do we reconcile a world created in 6 days with geological evidence of ancient fossils and galaxies billions of light years away? Is the Bible's account of creation a historical timeline, a spiritual metaphor, or both? This mystery deepens when we consider the 7th day, the day of rest. Unlike the first 6 days, it is not marked by evening and morning. Could this signify a divine, eternal day, transcending human time? If so, we are living in God's day of rest, a time where creation continues in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. The Bible's creation narrative invites us into a story that is as awe-inspiring as it is provocative. Are we looking at a timeline that redefines our understanding of the universe, or a profound spiritual truth that transcends time altogether? The answer may be both, and more than we can imagine. The biblical timeline, a journey through sacred history. Step into a world where time itself feels alive, pulsing with the weight of divine purpose. The Bible doesn't just recount history. It weaves together a tapestry of sacred events that shape both the spiritual and earthly realms. From the dawn of humanity with Adam to the reign of King Solomon, the timeline of the Bible is a breathtaking narrative of creation, faith, rebellion, and redemption. We begin in the Garden of Eden, a paradise where Adam and Eve walked with God. But this idyllic scene quickly turns tragic as humanity's first disobedience unleashes a ripple of consequences felt through all generations. Fast forward to the days of Noah and the Great Flood, a cataclysmic event that serves as both judgment and renewal. Imagine the terror of rising waters and the hope of the ark as it carries the seeds of a new beginning. The story then pivots to Abraham, a man whose faith reshapes the world. God's covenant with him sets the foundation for Israel, the chosen nation. From Abraham's journey to the Promised Land to the miraculous birth of Isaac, these events mark a turning point in the divine plan. Yet, it doesn't stop there. The narrative carries us through the lineage of Isaac and Jacob, leading to Joseph, whose trials and triumphs set the stage for the Israelites' eventual captivity in Egypt. Enter Moses, the towering figure who leads the Israelites out of slavery and into a covenant with God at Mount Sinai. Picture the thunder, the fire, and the trembling mountain as Moses receives the 10 Commandments, a moment that defines the moral and spiritual framework of a people. From the miraculous parting of the Red Sea to the wandering in the wilderness, every detail teems with divine intervention and human struggle. The Bible's historical arc then transitions to the era of the judges and the monarchy. Here, we meet David, the shepherd who becomes king and unites the tribes of Israel. His reign is marked by both triumph and tragedy, laying the groundwork for his son Solomon, whose wisdom and splendor culminate in the construction of the temple in Jerusalem, a symbol of God's dwelling among his people. But the timeline doesn't just chart history. It reveals the ongoing tension between human failure and divine faithfulness. Each event is a thread in a larger narrative, pulling us closer to the ultimate promise of salvation through Jesus Christ. This is no ordinary history. It's a divine drama, unfolding across centuries, inviting us to see time not just as a sequence of events, but as the canvas of God's eternal plan. Are you ready to dive deeper into this extraordinary journey? Empires and the Messiah, the world stage for Jesus' arrival. History is more than a series of events. It's a stage set by God himself. The empires of Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome were not merely powerful nations. They were instruments in the unfolding of a divine plan. These ancient superpowers shaped the backdrop of the Bible's narrative, preparing the world for the most significant event in human history, the birth, life, and sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Picture Babylon, a kingdom that rose to immense power under rulers like Nebuchadnezzar. It was Babylon that exiled the people of Judah, a devastating chapter that seemed to signal the end of God's covenant with his chosen nation. Yet, even in exile, God's plan unfolded. The prophetic visions of Daniel, set against the grandeur and cruelty of Babylon, pointed to a coming kingdom unlike any the world had ever seen, one that would never be destroyed. Then came Persia, a beacon of restoration. Under King Cyrus, The Jews were allowed to return to their homeland and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. This act of liberation wasn't just a political move, it was a fulfillment of prophecy, a step closer to the arrival of the Messiah. Persia's rise demonstrated that even the mightiest of kings are but tools in the hands of God. The Greeks followed, their empire led by Alexander the Great, spreading not just military dominance, but also a unifying language and culture. Greek became the lingua franca of the ancient world, a vital factor in spreading the gospel centuries later. Yet, the Greeks also brought turmoil, their influence contributing to the tension and strife that would define Judea under foreign rule. Finally, Rome ascended, the most powerful empire the world had known. It was under Roman rule, at the height of its might, that Jesus Christ was born in a humble stable in Bethlehem. The Pax Romana, Roman peace, ensured stable roads and communication networks, paving the way for the rapid spread of his teachings. But Rome was also the empire that executed him, nailing him to a cross in an act meant to crush his influence. Instead, his death and resurrection ignited a movement that would outlast even Rome itself. Each empire seemed invincible in its time, yet all were temporary players in an eternal story. They rose and fell, but their actions laid the groundwork for God's ultimate plan of redemption, the life of Jesus Christ, unfolding within the shadow of these empires, became the turning point of history, a moment when divine intervention forever altered the course of humanity. Do you see history as mere chance, or as part of a greater design? The answer may redefine how you view the rise and fall of nations and your own place in the story. How old is the world? It's a question that stirs both fascination and fiery debate. The Jewish calendar marks the current year as 5.785 since the creation of Adam, a calculation rooted in meticulous genealogies. Meanwhile, Christian interpretations of biblical chronology suggest a timeline of 6.000 to 12.000 years, depending on how one views the symbolic days of creation. But could there be more to this mystery? Some scholars propose the existence of forgotten centuries in the Jewish calendar, lost years that may explain the discrepancies. These gaps, debated by theologians and historians alike, challenge us to rethink what we know about biblical history. Were these centuries deliberately omitted, or were they simply lost in the sands of time? And if they existed, what secrets do they hold about the timeline of creation and humanity's journey through history? Christian tradition often points to the concept of divine time, drawing from passages like, "For the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." 2 Peter 3 verse 8. From this perspective, the 6 days of creation could symbolize millennia, aligning the age of the world closer to 12.000 years. This interpretation deepens the mystery. Is time as we understand it even relevant in the context of God's eternal plan? The video invites you to wrestle with these questions and share your perspective. Do you align with the Jewish calendar, trusting its precise chronology of 5.785 years? Or do you lean toward the Christian view of a 6.000-year Earth, steeped in sacred genealogies and divine order? Perhaps you're intrigued by the idea of symbolic time, where the days of creation stretch across epochs. Or maybe you subscribe to the scientific consensus of an ancient Earth billions of years old. No matter your view, one thing is clear: time is not merely a measure of years, but a reflection of God's unfolding story. As we explore these questions, let's embrace the mystery with open hearts and minds, seeking wisdom and truth from the sacred texts that continue to inspire us. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking explorations of faith and Scripture. Join our community of seekers, and together, let's unravel the mysteries of God's creation. May the Lord bless you and guide you in your journey of discovery. See you in the next video.